All right, everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we got some really good competitive PvP content for you in top 100. Today we're going to be covering Strife, and I'm throwing in some tactics here and there as well so you guys could follow. I'm covering Strife level 70, and then towards the end of the video I'll be covering his level 80 performances. I'm going to teach you guys where it's best to utilize him, because while people say that he's not really usable in team battle, he very much is. It's just a little bit niche, and it depends on who you're picking to fight when you're using him. So basically, Strife is not bad. He's a good character with a lot of flaws, and I'm gonna go over those flaws in detail maybe when I get more into timeline battle, because it's hard to showcase his actual flaws in autoplay. But autoplay is essentially where Strife is best utilized. So AC, TBA, and Otherworld battle, specifically Otherworld battle. But his performances have been what I've expected from him. So you could see that I've developed a fully functioning Kang counter with the use of my special leadership characters like Rescue or like Ancient One. You'll even see Wiccan there, or like an old Beast uniform there. So I use these support leaderships, and I specifically say leaderships even though some of them don't have the greatest leaderships. But what Rescue does, for example, is that she utilizes her skills while remaining stationary. So there's a lot of tunes that actually do this, but they're old mechanics, meaning like the older characters that use skills in the same spot. It's very old, so you have to go and look at older characters to kind of get this effect. But if you find a lot of these characters, they essentially rig the entire game for you. Like, I put Beast there in the middle, and Madeline Pryor immediately stuns Null, and they can follow up with a finish as well by continuously debuffing or by one-shotting the opponent before they hit you. So these tactics have easily gotten me into the top 90 of Team Battle Arena. So you guys could use them if you want. Of course, it's going to hurt you in defense, but on offense, you actually can use these blueprints to get really good kills and keep you at a level that's pretty tolerable, I would say, right? Like, you don't want to be in like the bottom 10,000. You want to be like in the top like 500 or something. These tactics could easily get you in the top 500, and there's even some tactics that are free to play. Like, I'm using Black Widow, I'm using Ghost Rider, and I'm using Beast and Wiccan with their old uniforms, Ancient One with their old uniforms, and then also like a mix of the new meta, like Strife, like Kang. And I build them for DPS outside of the top two, Sentry and Kang. Sentry and Kang, of course, you have to give them Brilliant Conquest only. And that's only what you're going to see from the AI and the opponents. It's just Brilliant Conquest on every single tune. So I'm covering Strife, but I'm also covering Silver Samurai and Nova, because I feel that they are very important in today's PvP lineups. So Nova, I've essentially paired with Sentry for the entire time, and he's really effective, and a lot of people have been pairing him with Brilliant Conquest, and he gets kills, and he helps kill villains, of course, right? A lot of people have been using Silver Samurai as well. Not so much in TBA, and of course I have to deal with crashes all the time. So In team battle, you're going to be seeing some Strifes and some Silver Samurais and some Novas. In Otherworld battle, you're going to see Silver Samurai and Strife basically like on every single team right now in the top like 150 to 200. So the matches that you're seeing right now are in Challenger, but then you're going to see me slowly creep in to the top 150 and 100 of Otherworld battle, which I've never done before. But Otherworld battle is a scam mode, and it's very hard to distinctively put tactics that are consistent. It's very hard. What I like to do is I like to utilize my corners very effectively. And then I give everybody offense and maybe a mix of defense if possible. But the primary stat that I use is the one I just removed on Silver Samurai, which is remove buffs from all debuffs or something along those lines. That statistic will basically make characters immobile and they'll just start spinning around in circles. So you want to utilize that buff and put it on an Immortal or a Reviver tune that has Ignore Iframe, Penetration, and high priority on the iframe itself, right? The rest, it's all about positioning, right? So if you know a character is going to die very fast, you may want to put him or her in the front or in the center middle, especially in the center middle if that character is an awakened character, right? So you could see where I'm putting Strife right now and where I'm putting Nova right now. The reason why I'm putting them there is to try to make sure that they avoid as much contact close up as possible. You need to utilize and understand certain characters that have range on their skills. So I'm utilizing Strife's ability to execute his third skill with range. So you could also put the remove buffs from debuffs or however you call it, and you could use your third skill to pop it off from distance and essentially make all of the AI ops in a radius just completely immobile. So what's recommended, of course, is to have someone protect Strife, because if he's in the center and everybody is around him and they're close together, Strife has the capabilities of being interrupted. So it's really important that you get your positionings down correctly, because when you get the positions down correctly and the buffs correctly, you could actually get some consistent wins. So there was times where I got 10 kill, 12 kill streak in Otherworld battle. Not with this team. This was the previous week. But this week, I'm going to show battles 2. And I'm going to showcase more in depth on how it works. Because there, I was just in like Challenger. And like in the bottom of Challenger. So the fights vary, the lower you are. But the higher you are, the fights become very specific. And of course, you have to worry about crashes with every single game mode. So, as I was saying, the flaws that Strife has is very prevalent. As you can see, Strife, even with Mighty Greed, has no super guard break immunity. Why? Well, it's because his immortal effect is just like zombies. So, what you guys need to understand about zombies' immortality is that it doesn't come with guard break immunity or super guard break immunity. So that means that Strife desperately needs a CTP that's PvP oriented with super guard break immunity attached to the effect. So Greed with Ambush or Conquest with Clash. Now, this is, like, understandable, of course, you know, and that was a nice kill. I have to really be careful because Strife is really susceptible to reflect, like, very, very badly. But basically, on top of Strife not being a debuff master, that's number one. Number two, he gets knocked around sometimes for 5 to 6 whole seconds out of the 7 that he's available for. So if he's getting knocked around, that means, and he also dies right after, that means that I can't really trigger debuff removal. The only thing I can do is maybe kill him. I could kill the meta before the meta kills me, but at level 70, level 80, of course, that's not going to happen. So I'm purposely picking, like, triple metas. I mean, they're in Vibranium still, but I'm picking triple metas because I have an easier time getting the kill, right? Because even, like, a normal Conquest Silver Surfer with no support, Strife is going to lack DPS and he's going to get hit by Reflect. So, as you can see, Strife is a good character with a lot of imperfections, and thus it makes it difficult to use the character. So then people think, oh, I can't freaking use him anywhere. Well, you can. It's just, wow, what an amazing kill from Silver Samurai. That was amazing. That was amazing. And I'm using him with a DPS CTP, which is not really recommended. I think Silver Samurai is more for Otherworld battle, and he's recommended with, like, defensive CTPs, like Authority, Conquest, Regen, Egg, etc. But he can also work with DPS. So I was having a lot of fun using him for DPS. But back to Strife. He's basically a support DPS, and he needs both defense and offense. And I think he needs the offense more. Strife does not work with Mighty Conquest, like most tunes. Oh, nice, a crash right when I'm about to kill the meta. He doesn't work with Mighty Conquest. His DPS is way too low, and Conquest's defense on Mighty is way too low. Now, if you want to give him a Brilliant Conquest, that's fine, but just know he's going to be limited. He's going to be limited to AC and Otherworld battle. If you want to give him DPS, you could use him still in those game modes, but then you can also use him in team battle and timeline battle if you really like the character, like I do. I'm going to be using the character all over the place, which I have been already. So, you know, that's mostly the issue with Strife. I think they should fix him up a little bit. They don't have to give him, like, health, and he could still die after the effect, just to keep balance. But they need to give him super guard break immunity, even if it's hidden. The truth is that they don't want to reveal to you guys that the immortality artifacts of basically any character you can think of, Deadpool, Ghost Rider, Null, Magic, all of these immortal characters. Oh, wow, this is really cool. Oh, an Awaken skill from Nova. See, thing with Awaken tunes is that you can recharge their Awaken skill. So just remember that. You can recharge their Awaken skill, and then you have a perfectly good ignore iframe with penetration that you could use. Alright, so let me specify more about the immortality effect. So it says in the immortality effect that after the character reaches below 5% or 1%, they get super guard break immunity and they don't die for a certain time period. And then they'll gain health at the end of the time period. And it says guard break immunity. But what they don't tell you is that since most characters have debuff removal, and because they have debuff removal, I could easily maneuver my tunes, right? You'll notice that while Sentry, Kang, and Null, majority of their skills have super guard break, when you reach that 1% with your Immortal tune, they will be able to freely run around the map. And it doesn't matter what CTP they have. Like, I could have Ghost Rider with energy, which I do right now, and I can do the same thing. And energy carries no super guard break immunity. Null, I have a brilliant energy. He has super guard break immunity under that specific area that I mentioned. So all they have to do is just make Strife with that kind of immortality, so he's at least easier to play. Because otherwise, he's really hard. Because right now I killed him and I triggered debuff removal at the same time. Great. But what about a double support null? As you could see in the clips, I was having a lot of trouble using Strife like how I use Deadpool in Timeline Battle. So the way I use Deadpool in Timeline Battle is that because he has super guard break immunity, I'm able to execute a perfect second counter on Deadpool's skill, triggering the debuff removal and also triggering the AI to execute the debuff removal skill. Let's first say, for example, Null's 2. When you hit Null with a debuff, the timer for his passive comes up of the 12 seconds of debuff removal. When he uses the skill, the second skill, with the 4 seconds of debuff removal, that 4 seconds of debuff removal overwrites that 12 seconds. And on top of that, there's a 20-second cooldown on that 12 seconds. So you have like 10 to 12 in-game seconds to debuff trap Null and kill him before he gets his debuff removal again. And another thing is that when tunes are combined with the Brilliant Conquest, enough defense, and debuff removal, they essentially become immortal. Some of them can become immortal. Like, can you ever kill Sentry when he has all of those statistics up in Timeline Battle? Majority of the time, you cannot kill him right away. He will at least survive for that first rotation. And you see, that's the reason why information regarding PvP needs to be so specific, because there's a ton of details that need to be examined and called out so people understand. There's a lot of contingencies that specific characters need to get an optimal result other than Sentry and Kang. Sentry and Kang, they need Brilliant Conquest, and pretty much that's it. Every other tune usually needs an extra set of contingencies. Like, for example, people want to claim that Null is the best PvP character in the game. Oh, really? So you're saying that if I go as a new player and get Null right away and tier 4 him right away, he's going to totally break PvP and get me top 100? No. Not even close to that statement is true. Not even close. Null needs probably another meta, especially in Timeline Battle. He needs another meta. He needs Agent Venom. He needs Brilliant Greed. He needs as much Pierce as you can get, as much HP as you can get, as much Odin's Blessings as you can get. You need probably a 5 to 6 star Null artifact, so he's effective in his damage. And you need a 6-star Agent Venom artifact for the defense to be optimal. If you have any of those at a lesser extent, like you have a 4-star Null artifact and a 4-star Agent Venom artifact, my friend, you are getting like a potential top 3 character that performs like a top 8 character or like a top 10 character. So people in PvP are left absolutely clueless, and then most abandon PvP in this game. The only other content creator for PvP that makes very specific contingencies about how to use the meta with variety of CTPs is Commander. So I like to release my videos after Commander does, because Commander usually talks about the variety of CTP choice and their performance, and maybe which meta you could use against for the new character that arrived. The thing about Commander is that he goes over variety of CTPs and their performances, but he doesn't go over the contingencies. And on top of that, he has one of the best accounts in the game, and he thinks that his performances that he gets are going to be universal. He gives you the recommendations, which is fine. I think that's great. But why are people still left clueless and scared about using a new meta and not using them properly because they're afraid that they're going to lose? It's a huge problem. And there needs to be specifics, tactics, and key elements to a lot of things. To fixing the character, to making the character work, and to placing the character in a specific way where you're not going in limbo. Like you're not winning and losing and winning and losing. You're consistent, right? So that's the main takeaway from this video, is that I'm teaching you how to use Strife in a consistent way. I'm teaching you where to use Nova in a consistent way. Like I mentioned with Sentry. And I don't have to give him a Brilliant Conquest. I can give him a Liberation, right? I told you the specifics about Silver Samurai, where he works, how he's used, what he can work with. The thing is that supports have more CTP versatility than meta, I believe. Meta usually don't have a lot of CTP choices that can help you compete on a high level. So I take you guys into AC as well. And I guess let me take the time right now to give you guys the rotations for all three of these characters on auto and on manual. So on auto, Strife, Nova, and Silver Samurai all do a very similar thing. They first start off with their third skill, which is their ignore iframe or their counter. And then they'll follow up with 5, which is usually a medium area of effect that is usually a full iframe. Like for Strife, it's a full iframe, but for Samurai, it's not a full iframe. But for Nova, it is. But basically, they do 3, and then they do 5, and then they do 4, and then usually back into the 3 again. So Silver Samurai, if he has a Brilliant Conquest, he can actually live for a pretty decent amount of time. It's just you're giving a non-reviver a Brilliant Conquest. It's pretty risky, but for a specific time period in like Otherworld battle, for example, he becomes incredibly useful. Nova, he's mostly for team battle, and he's always going to do that rotation. Strife, unfortunately, his third has like a limited amount of debuffs, and his fourth, I don't think has many debuffs at all. His fifth does, but you can't cancel it. So Strife, you can cancel 4, but you can't cancel 5 or 3 or 2. So that makes Strife even harder to use. All right, so now with all of the videos being presented to you already, I'm going to go over Strife's potential and who he can kill in terms of meta. So Strife has interruption ability against Sentry, and I'm going to showcase that to you like in this second half or third part of the video. And he has ability against Kang as well with Ghost Rider. So like those are the best 2 areas to use him, because I tried to use him against Null, but he doesn't debuff Null. So he's more of a burst damage character with interruption ability against the likes of Sentry and Kang. So it's good that he's a potential counter to those two, not a full counter. So of course I need to have another meta with him, like Madeline Pryor or Ghost Rider, to fully initiate the interruption ability. Because Strife's interruption ability is very short. So it's instantaneous. So it's best to get it when it's at the very, very start of the match. So in the very start of TBA, you know, obviously nobody has debuff removal. So because nobody has debuff removal activated yet, the interruption ability becomes frequent. It's not always. The interruption ability is really backed behind RNG. And this is with every meta. So Ghost Rider's interruption ability, Strife, Madeline Pryor, there's a small chance that interruption is not going to work, and it really depends on the power level of your opponent. So of course the higher level of opponent and the lower level your build, the least likely you are going to be able to interrupt, even penetrate, or kill the opponent. So make sure you build your cards optimally. Make sure that if you don't have Brilliant Conquest, you gotta try alternative DPS CTPs. Because in my opinion, to compete in high level, that's really the only other alternative to Brilliant Conquest. Okay? And then in top 100, that's all you see. All you see is an entire roster of toons with Brilliant Conquest. So if you want to compete in top 100 ever, this is essentially what you're getting into. Now, is it a little bit stressful? Yeah, because what's weird is that every single PvP mode resets at the same time. So it's crazy for whales, and it's crazy for me to think that people are competing in timeline battle and team battle, and they reset at the same time. So I have to play 2 game modes during reset to make sure that I win, which is stressful. It's already stressful for one. And then, of course, there's the Otherworld battle and the AC resets that reset every Saturday of the week. So you keep those in mind, and if you could handle the stress of getting in this area of top 100, then the world is essentially your oyster. The game is essentially yours. And at this stage of the game, I'm essentially using whoever I feel like. Because now meta are being developed properly, but the challenge is knowing how to use them, because it's difficult to use them. It's difficult to tactically analyze with such little information going about and a high amount of misinformation going about. It's hard to really use these characters. So hopefully at the takeaway from this video, you guys basically understood all of the key mechanics that I'm telling you about. Because I know that I'm going on a rant and a rave, and I'm rambling, and I'm going into many, many different points. I'm trying to cover everything on the fly. But basically, I want more people in PvP. I'm tired of seeing the same whales over and over again. And I'm tired of the misinformation going around. Because if I had listened to the information going around about how to build PvP characters, I would have never got into top 100. Never. So hopefully you could take away from this an opportunity for you to play PvP in a way where you can get on the leaderboards, you can get top in the world in this game, and you can get recognized. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments if I missed any kind of tactics, because I went over CTPs, I went over rotations, I went over placements. And these are like level 80 reviews. So if you guys want a tier 4 review, let me know. It will be more of the same. If I missed something, let me know in the comments. If you guys need help with PvP, you could always message me on Discord. And I hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you guys in the next one. The next one is going to be PvP tier list. So stay tuned for that.